by discovery.
Yeah.
So one idea is this interactive learn by discovery input plaything. The other idea is to show you is to say, here's the kind of functionality I'd like to be able to have that will tie into these input things. Like, for example, I would like to be able to name the streets. I would like to be able to name the floors. I would like to put pictures on walls, inside, outside, ceiling, floor.
Okay.
I'd like to be able to uh, have graphics even in the streets, so that there was a 5 by 5 by 5 uptown corresponding to the rooms, but in the streets. I'll digress for a moment and try to explain what I mean by that. If you're at the intersection of the X and Y, X, Y, and Z, and I hear that the word for those three is not a pixel, it's a voxel. Is that right?
Yeah, like X being.
A three
Yeah,
dimensional.
you mean Z, like X being the width, like Y being the height, and Z being like the depth, right?
Yeah, and that the word for a three-dimensional coordinate is a voxel.
Mm-hmm.
You're there, right?
Yeah.
So I would like to be, if you're at the intersection,
Yeah.
I want to be able to divide the intersection into a 5 by 5 by 5 two-dimensional thing.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be able to divide uptown as a 5 by 5 dimensional thing that corresponds to the rooms.
Okay.
So each room going depth-wise has helps divide up the steps forward.
Step forward for.
On the road.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to make it as simple, symmetrical, systematic, abstraction
Yeah, like.
of both a Rubik's Cube and a city.
Yes. Yes, I see that. I can kind of I follow you on that, and I'm like trying to I'm trying to like contextualize it in like with working examples. Like, so my question is, if like, so you mentioned like I think I heard earlier like if this was to be like a wayfinding way, like
I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that last word. If this is to be like a
wayfinding, like if you wanted to use it as like a wayfinding graphic.
and let me translate wayfinding as a navigation graphic.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm a bit lost actually.
Well, I'm not expecting you to understand what I'm talking about right off the bat, but the idea is that you're using the visual representation of this 5 by 5 by 5 8 Rubik's cubes made up to look like a city with a cross street and an uptown and a downtown and with elevators and levels going down and going up, that you are doing something like the World Wide Web, where you would have syntax that would allow you to identify the coordinates of each room.
Oh, okay. So that too, so that 3D mind, so that overall structure
Yeah.
is like the container for that big data you want.
Let me repeat that.
And
The overall structure of what I'm calling the 3D mind
yeah,
is a container
yeah,
for all the data,
yeah.
except, that's right, if it were digital, if it were all about technology. But since it's all about humanity and people, it's going to be, instead of data, it's concepts.
Instead of data, it's what?
Concepts. And the technical definition of what a concept is, as opposed to data, is something I'll help you with a little later, okay?
Yep.
But it's a very important, as dare I say, concept to know that there's a difference between data
Yeah.
of numbers, letters, even icons.
Almost like a step, like yeah, like okay, this is like the steps that you were talking about earlier about like each box like, moving forward, like would kind of like be the representation of that step moving forward.
Yeah. Yes, and it's a conceptual framework. This container is a conceptual framework, and it's different from the words in a dictionary.
Yeah.
And let me tell you what a concept is, and what the anatomy of a concept. The anatomy has a name. Okay. Then below that, it has definitions
Yep.
and what are called criterial attributes.
Yep.
And a criterial attribute helps you discriminate between positive examples and negative examples. So if you had a conceptionary instead of a dictionary, a dictionary would give you the name and how to pronounce it and a definition, and maybe a thesaurus of 50 words that were similar. But this conceptionary and this framework, overall framework, will have a way of storing concepts with names and attributes and positive and negative examples, and a way of discriminating between which criteria make it an example and a non-example.
I see. I'm starting to grasp it a little bit.
Well, this is a little abstruse. All it's saying is that it's got examples.
Okay.
To understand a concept, you've got to know, is this an example of a cherry tree, or is this an example of an apple tree? And you can discriminate between them based on the examples.
Right.
So,
like that based on like the criterial attributes, right?
yeah, and so this structure that I've built up, you've built for me the what I call Charlie's conceptual city, with these eight basements and buildings and so forth. And I've been able to identify 5 divisions: left and right, up and down, and back to front. And I've mapped it to the brain.
Right.
Are you sort of with me?
So he said, so they're like, well, I got the left and right, up and down, front and back, and that is like try to map. That is like in efforts to try to map the brain. You said, right?
And the key is that I've identified 5 divisions for each.
Which 5 divisions for each of them? Like as to like.
So that each room going off to the right, I've given a concept for each division.
Oh, okay.
And each room going up, that category at the bottom gets organized going up into 5 layers. And that road going forward gets prioritized and strategized into 5 steps.
Okay.
You writing this down?
Yeah.
Good. I'll tell you what those 5 are if you want to know.
Give me 1 second. And what would be the 5?
Let's start on the x-axis. Okay? And you're at the intersection. And I've generalized that going uptown is 5th Avenue and crosstown is like 57th Street. If I abstract it another level up, I make uptown and downtown Main Street. So it go in any corner in the world. And I make going right Market Street. And I make going left Wall Street.
Okay, so x-axis.
But that wasn't important. I just couldn't help myself.
Okay, there was like more like a example, like a.
What I want to tell you now is what are the 5 rooms going off to the right.
Yeah.
The first one is personal. The second one, and that's yourself.
Self.
That's every individual gets your own information, your own concepts, your own data. Everything goes in that room. It's personal. The second category going over is social. That's your friends and your family and your schoolmates.
Yep.
The third one going over is organizational.
Organization as in
like commercial, a company, a hospital,
Yep.
An institution.
Yeah, institution. That's what I had to find too.
So it goes personal, social, organizational. And then the next one is political. And the 5th one over is civilizational.
So, and let me kind of like try to rephrase what you just told me.
Yep.
So the first step would be like on a personal level, self and your unique input per se. And the next to that, the next level going up, next level would be social. So like people around you, a little expanded, right?
Yep.
And then moving up one more, the institution and the organization. And then that would be more like regional.
And the
Going up more, political is more like obviously national, and I'm guessing 5th level like civilization can be like on a global, right?
Yeah, the political, the 4th over is like federal, state, local, national kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And the civilizational is global and cultural and religion and things that are so it goes from 1 to the most.
Yeah.
And I found that was the best way to categorize them.
Yeah.
Now,
Makes sense.
Now going up, because the brain is